There. I was not here last week. I was enjoying the beach. And so there was no podcast episode, but this week I have two people. So I'm making up for last week. Two people, Tasha and Laura. Laura is the founder of this Get Organized HQ virtual summit, I'll call it. It's an event with over 100 speakers. And she hired Tasha, and we get into the story of how that happened in the episode, which is kind of cute, and why she created it. And that's really heartwarming, a really little heartwarming story for you. They have put together this event with over 100 speakers, topics that are a wide range of topics, not just in organization. They invited me, and I wouldn't call myself the most organized person, but I don't identify as disorganized. Let me tell you that. So I did a presentation, a 30-minute presentation. I'm so proud of myself that I did 30 minutes. I think it ended up being like 33 or 34 minutes. That's a record for me. But I think it's great because it forces the speakers to get in the good stuff without a lot of fluff. So my presentation is about why we call ourselves disorganized, why we take on an identity of this. And I just love the way they have put it together. The sessions are organized in a fantastic way because there's over 100 sessions. Obviously, it would be hard to scroll through 100 sessions to see, oh, that's one I'm going to like. So home organization, cleaning tricks and tips, meal planning and prepping, decluttering, productivity, home decor for empty nesters, for wardrobe hacks, for parents, for crafters and DIY people, self care, for faith. They have 5 lessons in that. They have, cheat sheets and other stuff. It's so great that they have put together something that will help so many. In the episode, we talk about how they got together and why Laura had the heart to start this. And we talk about their kindness, which has come shining through. And we talk about the actual how it's set up and how you can take advantage of it. And it's completely free. So you want to take action quickly because it's only free for a short period of time. So the sooner that you react and act, the better you'll be, more organized you'll be, and the happier you'll be. So let's listen in and see what you can find out about this. Welcome to another episode of Living Your Sparked Second Half. And I have two guests with me today. I don't often have two at the same time, but I have Laura Smith and Tasha Lorentz with me. And I met them because they invited me to be one of the speakers on their Get Organized HQ virtual event with many, many sessions. So, welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, I'm excited. You're a little bit younger than the people I normally have on, but I love what you do. I wanted to share the event with my listeners because there's a lot of value in it. And I have a lot of people who, when they come into my world, one of the things they always talk about is how disorganized they are. They have this idea that they're really disorganized and that's their identity. I was so surprised that you asked me to speak because I'm not like an organizer. That's not like kind of my thing. But when we talked, I thought, oh my gosh, people really have a problem with feeling disorganized, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And so I was like, okay, I'll put something together. And I just have to give these two women multiple kudos because I got so sick. I have never been so sick. And there was a deadline. And I asked, and I hadn't gotten sick yet. And I said, oh, can I have like an extra week? And they were like, fine, fine. And then I got horribly sick, like the worst illness I've ever had. And I lost my voice, which I rarely lose my voice. And my voice wouldn't come back. And so I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for bearing with me until I got my voice back and allowing me to submit it late. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, she's never going to do this. And then my mother died. So it was everything going wrong. The end of May and the beginning of June were the worst. So thank you so much for your kindness in that.
Absolutely. Things happen.
Yes, I'm
We're
sure you
glad to
get a
have
lot of
you.
excuses though. So thank you, and thank you for coming on and doing this. So I want to talk about how you guys met because it's not often you find business partners that are doing something together. Usually it's always like dog eat dog, and people they don't think about how they can make something great together. So who wants to start? Laura, do you want to start about how you met? And then we'll go to Tasha and get her perspective.
Sure. I think you're so right about how important it is to work together well. And that has been transformative, in my opinion. Like, that's just so important. So, basically, I started this business 12 years ago by myself for a long time. You know how most of us with online businesses, we're doing all the things all by ourselves. I really didn't have a clue where it was going to go. Like, I had a goal and it was, we've far and away exceeded my wildest dreams by now. So that's been so fun and amazing. When I hired Tasha, I think that was 2018. So we were already 6 years into business. I'd had one full-time person who'd worked for me for 6 months, and then, just life situation, she moved on. And then I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Tasha's actually my cousin. Um,
Oh,
and I'm 14 years older than her, I think. So even though she's my cousin, we weren't really close.
do you guys live near each other?
We hadn't I've lived all over the place. So we hadn't always lived together. When I hired her, I had just moved to the Indianapolis area where she lived. So when I did hire her, we were living close together, but we hardly ever talked. I probably would greet her and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And that's about it. So I needed to hire someone, and so I put a posting out on Facebook, saying, "Hey, here's the application if anyone wants to apply." And she saw it on Facebook because she's my Facebook friend. And I don't know if we should tell this part, but she called her mom and was like, "Hey, mom, do you think, because that would be my dad's sister, do you think maybe I could do this? Like, could I apply for this?" And her mom was like, "Well, I don't know if she'll hire you, but I guess you could try."
There would be a reason not to just because she's a family member, because they say you should never mix family and business. Because
Oh, I have broken that rule royally, and it's been one of the best things I've ever done. Like, it has been amazing. Her mom actually now works for us too, and she's amazing as well. So for me, I don't know that I would hire every person that I know because they might not all be well suited, but for me, it has worked out just tremendously to hire people that I know. And, I just think there's a different kind of connection there. And when you're working for someone that I think you love that we're all doing it together and we're all kind of growing together. So I think it's been a help in our situation. So yeah, she called me and I was like, "I think you'd be great." I knew she was smart. I knew she was hardworking. I didn't actually know that much about her, but I was like, "Yeah, I think you'd be great. Let's try it." So we tried it. I
how
think the
long
plan
ago was
was
this?
2018. Yeah,
Okay,
you started
wow.
not quite full time and you had plans to go to school, and it ended up working out so well that she decided not to go to school and just start right out and work instead, which I think is, why pay all the money and go to school if you can just start, getting the actual experience. And it's been amazing. So that's how it started. We happened to know each other. She saw the posting, and from day one, it just really went so well because she's so well suited for this. She was just exactly the right person, and it worked out great.
That's so cool because my cousins, whenever I see them, they live far away. I think if we had lived closer, we would have been friends. And when we get together, we have so much fun. We're so much alike in many ways. Yeah, I think that the dynamic would be very different if they lived closer. So let's hear your perspective, Tasha. What made you apply for the job?
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I had thought that I wanted to do aerospace engineering. I thought I wanted to do physical therapy. I thought I wanted to teach high school calculus. And so I was a little all over the page, and I had taken a year. I'd gotten my associate's degree, and then I'd worked as a bank teller for a year. And working at the bank, it was great, fine. They did a really big system overhaul, which is probably a good idea in the long run, but it never goes smoothly, like for the people who are actually working with the software that gets overhauled. And like everyone I worked with left within a few months. And it just wasn't really fun anymore. But I was noticing that the marketing team it was actually a credit union that I worked for. So it was much smaller. It wasn't like, your PNC or something that's super huge in corporate. It's local to Indianapolis. And I was like, the marketing people are having a lot more fun than I'm having. And so I was like, maybe I should do marketing. I mean, add it to the list, right, of things that I thought that I was going to be when I grew up. And so I was going to go to a local college here in Indianapolis and I was going to go through their marketing program. And I wanted to make some money on the side, like going to school. I'd rather not have zero income. And like Laura said, I saw her Facebook post and I was like, well, that kind of fits with what I want to go to school with. That could be a good resume builder. And I did ask my mom if she thought that Laura would hire me. And she did say she wasn't sure about that. But
Well, good for going for it, you know? Don't
exactly.
listen to anybody else. Just do what is in your heart and it'll work
Yes.
out.
So
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I called her asking to work for her a few hours a week. And she was like, well, let me think about it. And she called me back that night and she was like, I'll hire you 40 hours a week. I was like, well, that wasn't what I was asking for. Um, but I had a few months till college started. So I was like, well, let's try it. And I think that was in October. I was supposed to start the next semester in January. And it was the week of orientation that she and I sat down and she was like, girl, you don't have to go to college to do this. And so I was like, all right, I won't. And so that's how we got here.
And if anything ever happens, there's so many people that do what Laura does that
Right.
you have this amazing resume now. And you've probably learned so much.
Yes. Way
Yeah.
better experience than sitting in a college class.
And fun because you're really connecting with people. Isn't that rewarding to like have these people come into this call these things summits because
Yeah.
they're, so like a bunch of speakers and it's kind of like if you were to go, and I don't know if these things got big because of COVID or if they started getting big before COVID, but it's like just have this big event online. I mean, even Tony Robbins did his online for a bit. And the whole people meeting other people because you guys have a Facebook group for it. So who best can describe what Get Organized, and you call it GOHQ. So the HQ it's like headquarters. Where'd you get that name? And can you just describe for the listeners what it is? Because at first blush, and that's what I want to say to my audience, it seems like, well, I'm pretty organized or disorganization isn't my primary problem. But what I would say to that person is if you are feeling like you can't get your act together, if you're feeling unmotivated, if you're having trouble getting out of bed, if you like open your pantry and it's overwhelming to just look at it, overwhelm can lead to disorganization. Maybe they're not exactly synonymous, but there's something going on. And that's why I really felt compelled to do my talk, which I created for this. I love how you organized it too. Sessions, webinars, whatever you want to call them. They're related into topics, which makes it easier to find stuff because there's so much information. There's a whole empty nesters thing. I'm not under empty nesters, but my thing is kind of broad. It would apply to everybody, but it's more about why are you attaching to this identity of calling yourself an unmotivated person or calling yourself a not a productive person or calling yourself disorganized because they're all related. So that's what compelled me to be a part of this. Can you speak to how you got this idea and how you really came to realize that it was more than just about organization and that this other information was really helpful to people?
I should start with like the very beginning. I knew I wanted to do something online, but I didn't know what it was that I wanted to talk about. And I had all these ideas and I even started some of them and they never saw the light of day. I mean, that's a whole another story for another day. But what I quickly realized is when you are running an online business, you have to talk about the same thing. Now we're coming up on 13 years. So you better care about the thing that you're talking about because
Yes.
that's what you're going to be talking about. So I tried a few things, but it quickly became evident that for me, this is me personally, I just have a heart for home. Like I just love being at home. I almost get emotional when I talk about it. I love home being a haven. When growing up, I was the shyest person I knew on planet Earth. Like I was painfully shy. It was nothing anyone did. I didn't have any traumatic experiences. My family was amazing, but I just was very, very shy. And for me, the world was just scary. I mean, I was scared to go to the grocery store. I was scared to see people. And so home was a true haven. Like it wasn't perfect. Like you wouldn't walk in and be like, oh, this looks like Instagram worthy and like, Pinterest threw up in here. It didn't look like that at all, but it was well functioning. It wasn't chaotic. It was peaceful. I felt loved and accepted. And it was like my haven from the rest of the world. And it's really, I think, what kept me stable, even though I was so shy. I've since changed a lot from that. But, and I want that for other people. Like I want your home to be able to be the haven where you can just walk in and deep sigh. But if your home is totally chaotic, and we've all been there at different times, then we don't know where anything is. Everything becomes stressful and it just affects so much. Like you said, I don't think we realize how just organization and routines affect so many aspects of our entire life. Obviously it affects whether or not you feel like you can have people over, but it affects your entire family. And if I get up and I'm just looking around at total chaos, then I'm not feeling good. And then if I have to search for 20 minutes for my keys every time we leave, and we're getting more stressed, and then I want to eat healthy, but I don't have these foods ready and I don't know what to eat. And so I'm just going to go eat fast food again. And just all of these things that it spills over into. So that was really the heart behind why I wanted to talk about organizing first on just my business in general. And then I had an idea back in February of 2018. We did two the first year. A lot of people don't know that. And so I just thought, why not bring all these people together? Because I don't have all the answers and I'm relatively organized, but I'm not the most organized person I know. That's not why I'm teaching this. It comes more from wanting people to have this place. And so I was like, what if I brought together all of these organizing experts and we could learn from all of them? And I loved doing that myself. I would watch like YouTube videos, but I was like, there's not enough of these. Like, I want more. So I was like, what if I just brought them all together? And, the way the model works is you can watch it for free while it's live. So I love that. So people can get inspired. And it's kind of like almost like summer camp for organizing. You can't help but be inspired. I've already been like decluttering because I've been watching the sessions, just had it on my mind. So I can't help but to grab something and be like, we don't use this anymore. Let's declutter this. And so that's how it started.
Well, you made me think of something while you were talking. I love the book called Simple Abundance. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't read that one.
She was a struggling writer and she started in, I think, fashion. She was into fashion. But anyway, she's a very interesting person. She, in the 80s, got really depressed. And so she sat down and started writing up what she was grateful for. And she made a challenge of she had to write down 50 things and she couldn't think of 50 things. And so she just kept writing and writing, and writing. But then she gave her book, she just sent it to Oprah. And then Oprah asked for it for all of her staff. And it became kind of famous because Oprah loved it. And so she talks about 6 tenets. One of them is order. And she has a whole section on order and what order means in different ways. But when you're talking about your house and coming home, one of the things she says, if you just straighten up your coffee table, it gets you out of the negative and into the positive. That's what gratitude does. And when you think about the things that you can do that put you in a place like that, it was so interesting that order was related to gratitude, but it made sense in the whole picture of the book. But anyways, I was thinking of that and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. How you had this feeling coming home that it made you feel good. It's, psychological thing when it comes to straightening up. It's as simple as that. Anyways, Tasha, why don't you talk about how the event actually works? Because I love your model. I think it's really fantastic. I also want to tell people that there are the sessions, but you can also join a Facebook group, which I think is really great because then you can engage with other people on the sessions they like. And that whole community engagement, I think, is really great for somebody who's really needing, hey, get me to the resource I need quickly because I might not have time to watch 100 sessions. And there are 100. That's crazy how many sessions you have. So there's something for everybody. I guarantee there's something for everybody in there. All right. So Tasha, how is it laid out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, there's over 100 sessions, and I have described it many times over the years like a buffet. Like you go to a buffet and you take your plate and you start putting things on. And I've never been to a buffet where I put every single thing on the buffet line on my plate. I just take the things that sound good to me that day, right? And I think that is kind of how this, yeah, over 100 session virtual conference summit thing works. You go, you'll get a schedule of all of the sessions. I think the first thing is do not feel pressure to watch. I think there's 118 sessions plus over a dozen live sessions that will be happening the week of the event. So that's just a lot to take in. And so don't feel pressure that you need to get to every single session during the week of the event. Like Laura mentioned before, you get your free ticket. That's the first thing to do. You sign up for the event, say, yes, I want to be part of this. And we are going to email you links to each day's sessions. So this event starts on September 9th. That's a Monday. In the morning of September 9th, you'll get an email from us and it'll be like, hey, here are all the links you need for today. And there's over 100 sessions over the course of the week. That's over 20 sessions a day. So you'll have your 20 some links in there and you can pick which ones you want to see. And every session is available for 24 hours from the time that it releases. So that gives all time zones a chance to see it for free. We are on Eastern time, so anything you see from us will be on Eastern time, but 24 hours to watch any of the sessions for free. And then pick and choose the ones you want to see. You'll get an email from us every single day of the event. It's a Monday through Saturday event this year. You mentioned the Facebook group. Every single session will have a discussion thread.
Yeah. And the speakers, you can talk to the speakers.
Right. Yes. So our speakers are welcome to join the group and engage as well. So if you're watching a session and you have a question or you have just a really big takeaway that you want to discuss with someone, you can go over to that Facebook group. And the thing I love about this group, we restart the group every single year. So we don't have one Facebook group back from the first event in 2018 that we're inviting everyone to come. This is a brand new, only within the last 3 weeks has anyone joined this group. And there are thousands of women in there on very similar journeys and seasons of life to all of the other people attending this conference and being able to interact with them. Like it is a very active group. You're not going to join this group and be like, oh man, nobody's posted in here for like 3 months. So you can discuss the specific sessions. People are just posting their own questions, even if it's not about a specific session. They're, like Laura mentioned, watching these, you just get inspired to declutter and organize and meal plan and overhaul your budget or whatever it is that has struck you from these sessions. And you see people and they're like, I was working on my laundry room today. Do you all think I should do this or do that? And they're sharing photos and people are giving their feedback and tips and what's worked for them. So it's a super active community.
Yeah, yeah, that's so great. I think it's important for people to know you also offer that they can pay and it's so cheap.
The price is based on when people
Right.
purchase it. So during the event, it's $49. It's $297 at full price, but it's on sale. So the event is happening.
Okay.
It's $49.
The point is that if you're feeling like you can't get everything in, what I would say is if you're on a budget and you don't have the money for this, then find the sessions you want, put them in your calendar and watch them within 24 hours. And if you can't and you see stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, there's not enough time in the day to watch all the things I want, then sign up before the price goes up. So it's really great. But the other thing that I like is that people can consume as soon as they get their ticket.
Yeah, with the all access pass, they get access right away. So the free ticket, the sessions all released during the event, but people have already been purchasing the all access pass. And if you get in that Facebook group, you'll get the invite to that when you get your free ticket as well. There'll be a link to that. But you'll see people, I mean, I've seen people and they're like, I just watched this session and it changed my life, or this part of it just really hit me. So you'll already see what people's takeaways are. And also, if you have the free ticket and you scroll through there, that can also give you some ideas of sessions. I mean, just seeing what struck other people might add some to your must-see list.
So what's different? Do you try to change it up every year?
Every year we have a large chunk of brand new speakers who've never presented before. So we probably have 60% or so who are returning speakers, people who people loved in the past, or just various different things of speakers who are returning, but it's new sessions every year. So we never take a session that we aired in 2023 and then re-air it in 2024. It's all new content for the event. And so many of these people, there's so many things to talk about, right? Like you yourself know, how many podcast episodes have you done? And you could probably make a session on all the different topics.
Yeah. I already want to do a session for next year on the whole order thing from the Simple Abundance. I mean, that would be so good. I actually have a little mini course that I did that I would be happy to give away free. That's the other thing, is that a lot of speakers do freebies, right?
Yes.
So that's a requirement to be a speaker, is to give something, right?
Well, you don't have to. Speakers can do as they like, but a lot of them do. A lot of them give freebies to people who get their free ticket. And then there's also bonuses that a lot of speakers give in the all access pass. So those are like the really juicy freebies, right? Those are, I normally sell this to my followers for $29, but because you purchase the all access pass, you get it for free type thing. That's your ebooks and printable packs and online courses and stuff like that.
And I saw somebody's already applied some tips that she got. Isn't there a sticky note, how to organize with sticky notes or something like that session?
There is a session on like creating a sticky note reminder board system. Yeah.
That's so cool. So I also have to give you kudos because you guys are super organized. So I just want to say I've never been a part of something where you're just so on the ball. The material that you've given to the speakers to help us be organized. I've been so impressed. And the free things you send. I got a coffee card. I got this. I wanted to wear it. I did a little video on social media because I love to get surprises. And my husband's not real good at that. So I have to rely on my podcast guests to send me things and my event people. But yeah, it's a necklace, totally unexpected. If you're on my YouTube channel, it's a necklace. Such a great idea because it says not your average grandma. I don't have anything that has not your average grandma on it. I've thought about getting a sign, but I mean, how sweet. I was so touched by that. And so I'm sure that makes people want to come back and work with you again. Just due to the fact that you guys are so buttoned up and so kind. So I want to acknowledge that.
Well, it makes it fun for us too.
That's a
And we
lot.
love
I mean, you're
people.
organizing this, and I know all the tech that goes into these things. And then you're like getting engraved gifts for 100 people. I
Well,
mean,
there's a big team behind just me and Laura. It is
well,
definitely not all the two of us.
that's good to know.
Yes,
They're doing a great job.
yes,
So,
they are.
all right. So, are there any last words that you would like to say before we leave? You guys live in the Indianapolis area, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we both do.
Yeah. And Laura, you have two kids,
Yes.
right? Yes. And so she's a busy mom. So I wanted to acknowledge that as well. But her kids are the age of my grandkids. I could be their grandma.
But not their average grandma.
Oh, that's right. We don't want to be average. I do the flips when I take them to the trampoline park.
Wow.
I could flip when I was younger. We had a diving board, and so I do flips. I'd never done it in the trampoline. And I tell you, the first time I took them and I sat for 30 minutes, like visualizing it. And then the first time I tried it, I did a face flop in the foam pit, but I mastered it. And part of, I think, my reason is that I want them to see I had old grandparents. I mean, they were like, if you look at a picture of one of my grandmothers when she was 49, she looks like older than me now. And so I wanted them to have a grandmother that they could see age is just a number, right? And they're my purpose for doing a lot of the stuff that I do that's not so average. But the foam pit is the hardest thing in the world to get out of. It is like, talk about using stomach muscles. Have you tried to get out of a foam pit before? Oh my
Not
God.
recent.
It's like I can flip. That's simple. Getting out of the foam pit is not simple. Yeah.
That's impressive. Yesterday was Labor Day and we went to the water park. And I mean, I'm 40, so I had not jumped off a diving board probably since I was like 19. And, my daughter wanted me to do stuff with her. So I'm like, okay, I can jump off the diving board, right? Oh my goodness. It was so terrifying. Like, I was like, I get up there and I'm like, this did not look so high. And then I was like, you don't forget how to swim, right? Like all these things are going through my head. And then I jump off and I'm like, wow, this is really disorienting. And I think I did a flip under the water. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going up. I hope I'm going up. The fact that you're actually doing flips, I mean, I just jumped in. In my head, I was just, you're not going to hurt yourself as long as you clear the board. Just clear the board. I'm going to get on the very edge and I jump away. And I'm like, you'll be fine. But the fact that you're doing flips is like, because yeah, it was pretty terrifying. But I did it with her, and and she done it, and that was scary for her. So I was like, if she can do it, I can do it.
It's so funny. You think you're going to feel the way you did when you were 20 when you do it.
Oh no.
And then you do it, and you're like, your body feels like it doesn't bounce like the way it used to. You're not as springy as you used to be.
You definitely changed. I was like, why was this so much easier when I was 19? Like, this doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I used to do a back dive too, and those are really scary to do. They're easy to do, but they're scary because you have to trust the universe that you're going to be taken care of. You basically have to do a back bend. And I'm not flexible. I've never been able to do back bends. And so you just have to go back and look upside down. Look at the trees behind me upside down. And then just don't chicken out, just stay in that arch position. And then you drop in. Back dives are really easy, but I haven't tried one of those in years. So maybe that's my next thing. I'll try that. But now the pool's closed, so that's for next year. But anyways, thank you so much. And again, thank you for being so kind, both with your gifts and with your allowing me to be late submitting and believing me that I really was having life problems. You guys have been great to work with, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the sessions. I haven't dove in yet, even though that's the other thing they give the speakers. So if somebody's listening and they like to speak, then this will be something great to do for next year. So keep me on your list.
Well, thank you so much
All
for
right.
having us
Thank
on your
you.
podcast today.
And it'll air this week so that it'll go out and people know
Awesome.
about it. All right.
Thank you.